And welcome to the Sunday News at 10. I'm Doug Petcash. On October 1st, the lives of two beloved members of the New Meadows community were taken. Investigators say Rory and Sarah Meehan were shot and killed at the Heartland Inn, which they owned. The man suspected of killing them is currently in jail, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. Tonight, we're hearing from close friends of the Meehans about the deep impact they had on everyone around them and the deep void they leave behind. Here's News Channel 7's Morgan Romero.
Two beautiful souls, like autumn leaves, full of light and color in their last days.
If I could tell Rory and Sarah anything, it's just how much they'll be missed by everybody. They were the community.
Rory and Sarah Meehan will always be remembered for their love of life, the outdoors, their passion for the community.
They were up at Little Ski Hill. Rory was sending everybody down the hill and making jokes and having fun. And I don't even know what we're going to do.
The Adams County Sheriff's Office told us 28-year-old John Cody Hart, the suspect, was a guest at the inn when the shooting happened. A viewer sent us this video from Saturday, and law enforcement officials did confirm it's real. You can see in this video Hart getting arrested on Highway 95 near Cambridge shortly after the shooting. He's charged with 2 counts of murder. I dug into the suspect's background today, and I learned he has a criminal record in Washington state. Not only that, but court records show he should have been in a state psychiatric hospital in Washington. A Clark County, Washington prosecutor confirmed John Cody Hart was charged with first and second-degree assault last August in Clark County. He said an evaluation found Hart was not competent to stand trial. The judge ordered he go to Western State Hospital, Washington's mental health hospital, to try to restore competency in mid-March. That prosecutor, Luka Vidasovic, says Hart was in jail for months, waiting to be transported to the psychiatric hospital. On July 22nd, court records show Hart's defense asked he be released from jail before going to the hospital because he'd been in jail for so long. But Vidasovic says Hart was set to be admitted August 1st, just days after that hearing, so prosecutors asked the judge to keep him in jail until then. Plus, he was charged with a serious violent felony, so they felt it would be safer. The judge, Robert Lewis, sided with the defense and let Hart out of jail on supervised release with conditions.
The reminders are scattered throughout Moscow.
It's been a little bit uncomfortable.
4 murders, killed by an edged weapon, such as a knife. No suspect in custody, but Moscow police insist the community is safe.
The police could be more forthcoming about details.
Students cut right to the chase.
Especially since, it happened so close to campus. There's so many people here that could be potential victims.
Idaho State Police says all 4 victims were back at the King Road house, a little more than a mile from the food truck, by 1:45 a.m. Sunday, November 13th. What unfolded after that is unclear. It wasn't until noon on Sunday police received a call of an unconscious person. When they got to the home on King Road, they found the 4 victims, Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie, dead. They confirm all 4 were stabbed early Sunday morning.
Now on the news at 10, hundreds of little lights lifted in honor of the 4 bright lights who lost their lives too soon.
Xana Kernodle,
Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves. The University of Idaho community remembers these young victims of murder and wraps their arms around their families. And the love and support stretched from Moscow all around the state. Schools far and wide shined large lights in solidarity.
They're going to see this and they're going to know that they're not alone. It is everybody in the state that cares and loves them.
All Idahoans vandals for a night.
Yeah, they stood vandal strong, but they also stood shoulder to shoulder, filling up half of the football field inside the Kibbe Dome. Thousands of people showing up from around the community. Ethan's mom, Stacy, was on hand. She was one of the first parents to speak. And the minute she stood up there, and the first thing she said was, "I am Ethan's mom." And emotionally, you could see she started crying and breaking down. And
when I look at all you guys, there's only one way for this to get a little better, to heal a little bit. There's pain everywhere. Is you're just gonna have to love each other. You guys are just gonna have to hug each other. You're gonna have to be a little awkward, and you're just gonna have to share. And the only cure to pain is love.
Boise's Office of Police Accountability conducted an investigation into Boise Police Chief Ryan Lee after 9 officers filed complaints against him. Those complaints detailed a hostile work environment, name-calling, and nepotism. Human Resources sent the officers to Internal Affairs to file their complaints. But because Lee oversees internal affairs, the officers thought they couldn't trust the department and went to the Office of Police Accountability instead. It warrants further discussion. There will be further discussion with the Office of Police Accountability, the chief, the city, and the police union. And the public is going to be made aware of anything that happens in regards to this situation, and we'll see where it goes from here.
And we're staying on top of that breaking news just into our newsroom. Boise Police Chief Ryan Lee has resigned from his position with the Boise Police Department. It's effective next month on October 14th, and the resignation comes at the request of Boise Mayor Lauren McLean. It also comes just 24 hours after KTVB's investigative reporter Alexandra Duggan her report about Chief Lee and the complaints within the department.
Inside this building,
the House will be in order.
Some lawmakers say
the first order of business is
one organization's opinion causes division in our state.
I am deeply concerned and deeply troubled by it.
The House will now advance to the third order of business.
Have you ever seen this with a nonprofit before, having that much influence on what goes on the House floor?
No, they are very unique in that regard.
That unique influence comes in the form of nonprofit Idaho Freedom Foundation's most prized project, the Idaho Freedom Index. The Freedom Foundation says the goal is to make state legislation transparent. They say they made the index to show which legislators vote for more government and which support lower taxes, fewer regulations, and more personal liberty. Here's how the index works. In real time, as bills are introduced in the legislature, IFF's analysts rate them. And they rate all lawmakers based on how they vote for those bills. Its lobbying arm, Idaho Freedom Action, pushes the same index to endorse bills.
With every execution, co-director of the Idaho Innocence Project and the director of the Forensic Justice Project at Boise State, Dr. Greg Hampikian, says there's a risk of a mistake.
We've had over 1,500 executions since they made it legal again in 1976 in this country. We've had 187 people who are on death row exonerated, found innocent. So if we had rapid justice, and I think we do in some states, those people would have all been dead, because it takes 10 to 20 years to get someone out.
Dr. Hampikian says that's a huge error rate.
I'm not here to debate the morality, just those numbers. And if you execute someone, there's nothing that all this equipment can do to restore anything to that person.
When we think about Minidoka, we think about dust, we think about lack of privacy.
Oh, there's certainly a lot to learn about Minidoka.
Lines for everything.
But maybe there's a lot more to learn from Minidoka.
45 cents per person per day in 1942 was the amount of money spent per person.
I want them to learn the whole story about how a whole community and people were unconstitutionally, unjustly incarcerated because of their race. And I want people to understand that to a certain degree, it's still happening now. I don't think as a country we've fully grappled with it. I know as a community we're not done grappling with it. When these truths can really become part of the American narrative, we're going to be better for it. I really believe that.
It's been my life.
Gary Icola took over his father's Valley County-based logging company in the 1970s.
I grew up in it. I was going out in the woods when I was 3. So it has never been just a job.
But it is a job, really? And several of Gary's employees,
part of your family,
are getting older, and they're getting ready to hang it up.
It concerns me that they're not going to be out here working too awfully much longer, and I'm going to have to replace them. And who am I going to replace them with?
Gary's average employee is 55 years old, and that's not a surprise to his son, Gabe Icola.
It's definitely mostly older people.
Because he's considered one of the young guys.
A couple of my friends I've been able to convince to come out and work for a bit, but they're not really interested in staying for that long, it seems like.
The Idaho Sheriff's Association polled 24 of the 44 sheriff's offices in the state of Idaho and found record low staffing cripples several agencies, big and small. Kootenai County, for example, is down 22 deputies, which is 20% of sworn positions. Meanwhile, Canyon County is down 30 deputies, mostly in the jail, which is 16% of full-time sworn positions. Payette County really feeling it in their jail. They're only half staffed in that jail. Many of the agencies polled, including Ada and Canyon counties desperately need dozens of people to fill administrative and dispatch roles. The biggest reason that agencies say they can't hire or keep officers: low wages. Among other reasons, the public's attitude toward law enforcement, poor benefits, hiring standards, the dangers that law enforcement officers face, and law enforcement culture. The survey also says that staff and employees left for jobs outside law enforcement.
It doesn't seem like it's going to get any better, so we know going into the summer and fall when we start harvesting that prices are going to be high.
This tractor alone takes 200 gallons of diesel fuel to fill up entirely. In 2021, it cost around $400 to fill it up. Right now, today, in 2022, it's costing $800. They need tractors to process almost everything at the farm, meaning they need fuel for prepping the soil, planting, and harvesting.
The Boise River flows through the heart of the city. And rapidly, you begin to feel the pulse of what really makes Boise's heart beat. This rush reveals a crush.
You guys ready for football?
A buzz, if you will. As the leaves begin to change along the shorelines, the temperature of the air will soon match the depth of the river. It serves as a reminder that fall is undefeated against summer. Soon, everyone will begin channeling their energy elsewhere as hope floats in the form of another Boise State football season.
Sweep left side, Halani turns on the Jets, cuts back on a dime and scores.
You gotta say, this season 2022 of mega importance.
Fourth quarter action approaching 10 minutes to go. Zone read, Green keeps it left side, no one home to the 30, to the 20, down the sidelines, 10-5, touchdown Taylor Green, 39 yards on the scamper for Green. Green just had too much speed for the Aztecs.
Carrie was the first Idaho woman killed in combat when she died in a roadside bomb attack in Iraq in 2005. She was just 19 years old. The memorial will pay tribute to Carrie and all of Idaho's female veterans.
This is long overdue. We're honoring one of our own, and this is about Carrie. This is about the friendships she created.
Friendships like the one Carrie and Marissa McCarter shared. Marissa served with Carrie in 2005.
It feels larger than me.
Said, who wants to do this today? I immediately raised my hand. I said, sign me up. I'm going to eat my way through the Western Idaho Fair. I asked you, would you put me to work? And you said you were already prepped, you were ready for the crowds. And I said, oh, shucks. That was a corny joke. Okay.
Good job!
Oh, that's a lot. That is impressive. He's a one-man show. Okay, now I get to go in. Woo!
You know, people self-publish books all the time. The internet is riddled with them. But for many authors, the true testament to literary success is seeing your book in a library. It's a process for many that could take years to achieve. Not for one Boise kid who put the prosperity of his prose in his own hands, and then, literally, he put it on the shelf himself.
Ada Lake Hazel, this is Tara. How can I help you?
The Lake Hazel branch of the Ada County Library
What's the name of it?
is a bastion for books.
I think it's between 40 and 50,000 books at this location. We have books for adults, books for children, books for kids that are learning to read, picture books. So yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Which is why 8-year-olds like Dylan Helbig, this is your library,
Yes.
feel right at home.
Well, not like my library, but I don't own it.
Except Dylan does possess a capacity for creativity.
And then this is the part where Santa comes.
Dylan
I like the pictures.
likes to write his own books. One day in winter,
Yeah.
it was Christmas.
So he has been writing books since he was about 5 years old.
His latest,
It's The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas.
he finished last month. That's you.
Yeah. By Dylan Helbig himself.
Taking an empty journal a gift from his grandma,
and me unwrapping a Nerf gun,
and filling it in just 2 days.
even though it has 81 pages.
So you're in the book?
Yes, I am in the book.
Who else is in the book?
My mom.
Who else?
Santa.
Who else?
A giant turkey.
Okay, so what does Dylan do in the book?
So first he decorates the tree.
And the star has a bomb.
No, I think someone overnight put a bomb in there and it just exploded.
And
I get sucked into the portal and I go into the very first Thanksgiving.
Ah, the giant turkey.
Everything about it was a bit crazy.
Got it.
I know some of the words.
Writing a book.
Yeah, because some of the words are my sight words.
Wasn't what impressed his mom the most.
So this one I just figured was like any other one that he has written.
It was what Dylan did with his book that caught her by surprise.
I didn't know this was his ultimate plan.
His plan, he put in play days later.
I've been wanting to put a book in a library since I was 5.
But that takes editors and publishers and distributors, doesn't it?
You know, you can't just put your book on the shelf.
Or can you? Well, Dylan did.
There was a lot of librarians that I had to get past, so do you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I covered this part and covered the back with my body and just snuck it in like this. I came in running, and then I started to walk. And then I came in this aisle. This aisle. And then I put my book right here.
Complete with stickers on the spine, so it would look like it belonged.
And the next time I came back, it was gone.
That night at home, he told his mom.
I thought that we had lost it, you know, and I figured somebody would probably find it and put it in lost and found.
I think my mom called the library.
His parents were worried that we would find his book and we would get rid of it, which was an unfounded fear.
Because if there's ever a place a book would be safe, it would be here.
True.
Well, they found it.
I think it was in our stories section.
And the librarians?
Every page is illustrated.
Loved it.
Yeah, and it's a good story.
And they wanted it.
Dylan's book definitely fit all of the criteria that we would look for to include a book in our collection.
So with permission, they processed it, put on the proper stickers, and now, The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas
by Dylan himself
is a full-fledged library book.
Now it's in the system. Anybody with a library card can check out the book. You may have to wait a few weeks at this point.
There's actually a waiting list. People want to check it out. So there's like 4 people in line. And it's just like mind-blowing.
Chapter 4.
Not bad for an 8-year-old who's been waiting to get a book in the library since he was 5.
And now I did it.
Yeah, it's not the normal process for including a book into a library collection, but in this scenario, it worked for Dylan.
And he puts his mind to something and he makes it happen, so.
I always be sneaky, like how I get chocolate.
Doesn't surprise me at all that he did this.
And this is page 81. We'll be right back in the next book. The end.
Yep, Dylan has plans for a sequel. I'm not sure if it's going to get the go-ahead to go right to the library shelf, but we'll see. If you're looking for it, The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas by Dylan himself, it's now a fixture on the graphic novel shelves. But you may have to wait in line, as you just heard. Alex Hartman, the branch manager, said the book earned Dylan the first ever Houdini Award for young writers. And Houdini is the library mascot, who is an owl who represents curiosity and wisdom. And he hopes the award encourages other young writers to write, not necessarily self-stack your book on a library shelf, but just write one. I thought the Houdini Award was for how Dylan snuck in his book without anyone noticing, kind of a sleight of hand kind of move. As Dylan says, I always be sneaky, like how I get my chocolate. You know, the sight of police officers can bring a sense of relief for some people, but for others, including some Latinos in Idaho, it can bring feelings of fear and anxiety.
So our Brenda Rodriguez and I set out to learn what police departments in Idaho are doing to try to build trust and build relationships with the Hispanic community.
It's an ongoing issue.
That negative experience has been passed down from generation to generation.
For many years, Latinos and Hispanics say that they have felt a lack of safety and trust when it comes to Idaho's police departments. Some of that stemming from how and where they grew up in countries where police are corrupt.
When you have someone in your family either be tortured or murdered, tell me how you get past that. How do you get past that and start to trust?
and some of that distrust stemming from their own interactions and experiences with law enforcement in the U.S. This creates a divide in communities, but also a threat to overall public safety. A study done by the Idaho Commission on Hispanic Affairs, ICHA, shows 78% of non-Hispanics say that they would report a crime if they witnessed one. Only 57% of Hispanics said they would. ICHA's executive director, Margie Gonzalez, says the big issue is trust. Another main reason they do not report is the language barrier.
Some of these police departments are pulling people over, the patrol officers, and some of them were telling me, well, we have them waiting there for like 20, 30 minutes before we can get anyone that speaks their language.
Gonzalez says the wait time is mainly due to the lack of representation in Idaho's police departments. Some departments, including the Wilder Police Department, are on a mission to hire more Spanish-speaking officers.
It's almost a daily basis that we have a need for it, and being able to communicate and give the resources necessary to that population.
The 2020 census shows Hispanics make up 66% of Wilder's population, and Wilder Chief of Police Dusty Tavit says the number grows to 75% with seasonal workers during harvest season. Even though more than half of Wilder's population is Hispanic, the police department only has one Spanish-speaking Latina out of 6 police officers on staff, Officer Maide Blanco.
That's my background. I was born to a Mexican immigrant family who came here in search of work.
So I grew up on this street.
It's very special to me. And I don't see a scenario in which I would leave because I do hold this community very near and dear to my heart. This was the goal originally when I considered going into law enforcement. The goal was to work for this police department.
Officer Blanco says being in the department gives her a chance to show a different perspective and to help her department understand the community they serve.
I do offer that perspective to my fellow officers and telling them, yeah, it is tough. You know, you're in search of this dream and giving your kids a better life, and it's hard. It's hard to not be able to communicate well. Those instances where we have like domestic violence victims that can't speak English. For me, it's extremely important to offer someone that they can resonate with, that they say, okay, this person understands me, not only as a person that speaks Spanish or my language, but this person is female and this person looks like me. There's just that level of trust. That level of trust goes up. It just does. Because we're more likely to open up to someone that we feel relates to us, right?
Wilder resident and business owner Jose Gallegos says he's grateful to have Officer Blanco out in the community.
Right now we are happy. It's something that helps the Latino community as well.
But he says he hopes to see more representation than just one police officer.
The town has been growing, so there are a lot of people who don't speak English. Adding more would help the community and the police.
Blanco says that she is often requested by the Spanish-speaking community, and she is honored she can help. But Gonzalez says that could lead to burnout.
It's happened many, many times in our state. You're going to burn out that person, regardless if you're paying them a differential pay, which I would hope that they are.
Gonzalez is encouraging more police departments to take action and learn about their communities.
Can I walk a mile in their shoes? We can't discriminate against them because they're struggling to build that trust, because we don't know what they've been through.
On top of hiring Officer Blanco to help serve the large population of Latinos and Hispanics here in Wilder, they also offer Spanish courses for new officers when they onboard, but it isn't a requirement.
Wilder isn't the only department in Idaho making an effort with the Latino community. Blaine County Sheriff's Office, for example, has a Hispanic liaison team to better build relationships and trust with the Hispanic community.
Good morning. How you guys doing? Look at those fancy glasses. Hi. Hi. Nothing outside, guys.
Inside these walls,
how you guys doing? Hola.
Bridges are built.
Okay. Una luna. Una estrella.
And hopefully, trust between law enforcement
¿Ayuda a poner eso?
and the community grows.
You know the hardest part of doing this? You don't fit on the chairs.
The work doesn't just happen inside these walls.
You guys want one?
I already have one.
You already have one? We'll take one?
It happens out at community events, on calls for service, in the jail.
Hi, my name is Fabricio Lizano. I'm a Blaine County Patrol Lieutenant, and I'm also head of the Hispanic Liaison Team.
My name is Christian Gonzalez, and I'm a deputy at Blaine County Sheriff's Office.
The Blaine County Sheriff's Office created the Hispanic Liaison Team 2 years ago to better serve and protect the growing Latino population.
We needed to have this connection with the Hispanic population that we have, and we wanted to create relationships with people to feel comfortable and able to feel like they're part of the community.
Lizano and Gonzalez make up the team.
Okay. ¿Y cómo sientes cuando nosotros vinimos a visitar? ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo se sienten?
Yo me siento segura.
¿Segura? Se siente segura porque estamos aquí. Okay.
They want Hispanics to feel comfortable with them and comfortable reporting crimes.
I wanted to be the change for our community.
Latinos account for a growing percentage of the population in Blaine County. The 2020 census shows they make up at least 24% of the population. Community leaders believe that number is actually around 30%.
Tell me why you think it's important to have people that look like you and speak Spanish working in law enforcement.
You get the trust.
But only 3 out of 33 Blaine County Sheriff's deputies speak Spanish. Weekly, even on their days off, Gonzalez and Lizano field calls from other officers, asking for help translating.
They're having problems communicating, even in a simple setting like a traffic stop. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming. I've been in a lot of calls and I'm actually in the background, and people, they like go straight and start talking to me.
475, go ahead.
Woodside Boulevard and Sunrise.
Research shows Latinos have less confidence in law enforcement than non-Latinos. An Idaho State Police report shows Latinos may be less likely to report violence for cultural reasons, like family dynamics and authority, language barriers, and immigration status. When responding to calls with Latinos, Lizano and Gonzalez say officers sensed hesitation, distrust, and fear.
Why do you think it's, there's low trust among the Latino community with law enforcement?
I think it's just the way we grew up. We've, at least for me, I could say I didn't grow up asking for help. I just grew up doing it by myself.
But they now sense some of those feelings fading with the creation of the team.
We did notice that before, that maybe a lot of crimes, they went unreported because they have a fear to talk to the police.
Right.
Maybe they thought then they were gonna get deported, depending of their legal status. A lot of times police is the problem from a lot of these countries and they're coming from.
If we know that our families don't trust, they don't come out to report crime, what can we do as leaders and organizations to help reinforce that?
Herbert Romero has spent decades advocating for the Latino community and police reform in the U.S.
There has been a gap where we could have done a better job to really build this trust and bridge, and even, address the issues. Now, for me, it's not about building bridges no more. It's about taking care of that bridge.
To take care of that bridge, Romero's Hispanic Leadership Organization in Blaine County works closely with the Sheriff's Hispanic Liaison Team.
The response from the people that are more open is very positive, and I think we're in the right direction.
Other leaders uplift the progress, too.
Community outreach is really important, particularly when you're dealing with public safety and law enforcement.
County Commissioner Dick Fosbury feels this effort helps make their diverse community safer.
They need to feel comfortable that law enforcement is there to protect all of us.
Do you wish you had more Spanish-speaking officers?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But there's still some work to be done.
Although they offer incentive pay for bilingual deputies, the sheriff's office is struggling to hire Hispanic officers, and just officers in general.
How are you able to do a lot of the Hispanic liaison team work when you are short-staffed?
It's definitely hard, and that's why I recruit everybody.
They want to hire Latinos who already live in the community.
Maybe they don't feel like they're part of the community, and I think maybe that's one of the issues.
In the meantime, Lizano and Gonzalez work extra hard to help everyone feel a part of the community.
It's real, it's tangible, it's not just stats and systems, but they're literally meeting the families where they're at.
I want to be a police officer when I'm...
You want to be a police officer?
Y yo quiero que ellos tengan confianza con nosotros y que se sientan como parte de la comunidad.
We want you to feel like you're part of this community.